Hey guys, and welcome back to Beer Bubbles. We are joined by Sebastian today.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yes,
Doing
fine.
well. It's fine. We had some audio issue, which you had to suffer through for the last 15 minutes, but other than that, we're fine. So you're from Svartbergets Bryggeri,
That's correct.
correct? Up in Åre, Sweden.
Yep.
How did that brewery? How did that idea to that brewery start?
I have not been here from the start. I got hired when we started expanding. So Svartberget started back in 2017 from our fearless leader, Philip. He's been traveling around the globe, living all sorts of places, and he moved back home to Åre. This family's been running a restaurant in the ski hill or on the ski hill for, I don't know, 30 something years.
Which restaurant is that?
So it's at the top of the VM8 ski lift. So yeah, they decided to rebuild the basement there from a storage unit into a small brew pub instead. So we got a 5-hectare brewery up there that he started in, like I said, 2017. I got on board early 2019, working at the brew pub and starting to plan and develop the new brewery where I'm at right now, which is also quite small, tiny, but we're making 20 hecto batches here, so 4x the volume per batch. And yeah, I mean, really started just as a brew pub, but as far as I've understood it before I got on, with a pretty clear goal that it was always going to expand and become more than just a brew pub.
Okay, because I figured it was focused very locally around the people that live there and also the tourism, or are you trying to expand with?
Well, I mean, that's of course a huge market for us and one of the most important ones to take care of or make sure that we can have a decent fight for the local market, of course. Åre is a bit controlled by the big boys, though.
Well, Åre Brygg Company has made their way into it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're together with us as well. I mean, they've sort of paved the way for us in a lot of ways. They've done a lot of the heavy lifting, Anders and Daniel, for us. So it's a little bit easier, I believe, at least for us to get a can or two in at a bar now, because they've already done all the heavy lifting, so to speak.
Kalle has been quite a big part of it now as well.
Yeah. Kalle is a great guy who runs Parkvillan as well. Favorite place, definitely. Best burgers in Sweden, I'd almost dare to say.
Yeah,
should we sit here and not have a beer?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that's just wrong, man.
We'll start with the Pilsener, a light lager. And I'm thinking, Sebastian, you tell us about the beer.
Don't wreck the studio.
I wrecked the mic.
Oh.
Outtakes part 1.
There's not going to be any outtakes at all. This is a one-shot thing. Maybe the New Year's bloopers.
So,
Right.
yes, the Pilsener.
We're actually moving this one into smaller cans, so
Okay.
that's what I'm having on
Well,
my end.
cheers.
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 And to you guys.
All right.
Nice and clean.
So, this is 4.7% pills. Inspired from, in my opinion, the best lager country in the world, as many others, of course, Germany. Mostly Pilsner malts in the base with we're sheeting a little bit, like a tiny bit of caramel malt, just to get a little bit more maltiness and richness.
Better body.
Yeah. It's all German hops, Magnum for bittering, and then we do Old Mittelfru throughout the boil and in the whirlpool. German lager yeast, and we don't really do it as traditional with the fermentation schedule as the Germans do. So this does not take 3 months or so to produce. We turn it around in around 4 weeks instead. But yeah, still pretty happy with it. I think it's clean, nice, pretty floral, a little bit spicy notes.
I agree. Rich in its maltiness as well. I like that.
But it's quite dry.
Sorry?
It's quite dry.
Yep. Exactly.
It's not over. It's not like a Helles. It's more like a Pilsner, proper Pilsner.
Correct. That's the idea. A bit drier, a decent bitterness, and some nice noble hoppiness as well.
Breakfast for champions.
Yes, this is correct.
I've also read that you try to focus more on the low ABV beers rather than making strong beers. Is that true, or are you moving away from that?
I mean, both really. We're brewing a lot of folköl right now. We've got 5 different brands on the folköl market.
Seems to be the next big trend, folköl.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, at the same time, like last week or this week, we brewed only folköl. The week before that, we only brewed double IPA and Imperial Stout. So, I mean, it's all across the board, really.
All right.
But I like to drink a lot of beer when I'm drinking. So, 3.5 up to 6.5, that's my range, more or less. But I also love barley wine more than any other beer. So, you know, we make everything, really.
Okay, yeah. And for the non-Swedish listeners, folköl means 3.5%.
Up to
3.5% types of beer. So basically, session.
It's basically what you can buy in a normal store.
Yeah, in Sweden, because of the monopoly.
On the freedom market, not the government one.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Outside the monopoly.
Yes. Correct.
We did a joke a little bit in the YouTube episode where we called it the Black Mountain. You know, it sounds very The Hobbit. But I actually. Oh
yeah, go on.
No, go on. I want to hear the story.
No, Svartberget is actually a part of Åreskutan. It's part of the mountain, just behind our brew pub. So that's where the name comes from. It's also the steepest run you can do, more or less, in Åre, 44 something degrees. So pretty steep, very traditional off-piste run, super nice. So yeah, that's where the name comes from.
All right, and you also the highest altitude brewery in Sweden,
as
right?
far as I know. I have not heard about any other one, actually.
There must be a pain in the ass for the transports.
Yeah, part of the reason why we did not expand the brewery on the mountain. So wintertime, when we're moving raw materials, or if we're bringing up beer from the bigger brewery, we do it all on snowmobiles. Or I mean, I've done deliveries through the ski lift as well. Like, oh, can we get 2 kegs of that? Absolutely, it's at the brew pub. I'll just pop by and go get it. Put my skis on, go up there, and bring some kegs down to the village. So yeah, it's a hassle. In the summertime, we can drive all the way to the front door, so that's fine. But wintertime, it's a pickle. And so that's also part of why they started the brew pub. So instead of dragging up kegs of, I think it was Carlsberg, every day, they just got 6 serving tanks instead, and a 5 hecto small Braumeister. So it's a lot easier to bring up like 3 pallets of malt in the autumn, and then brew on that all winter instead of dragging heavy kegs up the mountain.
Why the hell do brewers use hectos? They're the only ones in the world that I know of.
I don't know. I mean, I can't really say that was my
1,000
preferred way
liters.
of
No,
measuring
it's 10
stuff
hectos
before brewing. It's just the way it is. I have no explanation. You just get used to it, and then you don't think about it anymore.
Because I have to recalculate it in my head all the time. It's like, oh, so that tank's 80 hectos. That is, okay, 8,000 liters of beer. And no one else uses hectos. Not even like restaurants.
Does?
Well, not even restaurants.
Hectograms.
It's a language we don't understand.
I'll stick to 1,000 liters instead then.
It's all right. It's all right.
Liters.
People have to learn. It's the terminology of brewing.
This is correct.
So I really like this beer.
Yeah,
it's
me
nice.
too. It's
nice
very
and
nice.
crisp.
Thank you very much. It's the constant work in progress. We're doing minor tweaks on every batch really, to try to up it and just do quality control and like sensory analysis on each batch to see if there's anything more we can do to make it better in our opinion at least. So yeah, like with every beer, but this one we brewed for a long time. It's one of the first beers I brought to Svartberget really. So
it's very nice. And on that note, let's open another beer.
Yay!
Boom boom. I haven't even finished my first one yet.
But that's why we have 5 glasses in front
Yeah,
of us.
exactly.
I got 2 prepped.
We're pros.
Yeah, exactly.
Folköl territory, yeah.
And the next one I'm thinking is the Berg's Folk Pale Ale.
Yep.
And that's 3.5?
This is 3.5. Correct the mundo.
Let's do a beer pour shot.
Oh god. Look like you were going to pour it all for yourself there.
Of course I'm not. Pour more for you. I can smell the aroma from here while just pouring the beer.
Nice. I think.
Yeah, that's it's usually a good note, a good sign that something good is in the glass.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right.
So this is much more modern.
But actually,
So, yeah.
it lives up to the nose when you drink it.
Well, it's a slightly hazy, fruity IPA pale ale.
Yeah, we've gone for less New England, more West Coast. Not necessarily labeling as anything more than just an American session pale ale.
But it's more of a hybrid of an East Coast, West Coast.
I mean,
or-
it should have
or
been
New
more,
England.
maybe more bitter to be more West Coasty, I guess. But malt, yeast, and hops wise, it could definitely pass for West Coast style. But yeah, gone for a balanced, slightly fruity, a little bit like pine character. We do hops wise, it's Simcoe and Citra 50-50. Citra, good hop. Simcoe, fantastic hop in my opinion. Base is pretty light. Got a little bit of it's Mason Pilsner, a little bit of light Cara.
Wheat.
Yo, exactly. And then Magnum for bittering. That's like the generic bittering hop for us, like whereas so many others. So yeah,
It's delicious. I like it.
got some oats up in the mix. Yeah, it's pretty crushable, sessionable, easy going.
Quenchable.
Quenchable, yeah.
It's a good breakfast.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that because it has quite a lot of bitterness still left in it. And like, I've got a beef with New England's because they smell marvelous, and then they end up being a mango smoothie. And so I've got a bit of a problem with that. It's like, it just doesn't live up to the nose, in my opinion.
I can almost not hear what you're saying.
Okay, New England style IPAs.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a beef with them
Okay.
because they sometimes are too juicy.
Too juicy.
Yeah, well, New England style IPAs.
Okay.
They're so juicy, so you kind of, the bitterness disappears in them. This one has got balance. It's got a bit of bitterness that, like, makes you go back for another sip.
Yeah, like a bitterness backbone to it. Like a lot of New England IPAs tends to be super floral on the nose, and then you taste it, and there's just a juicy mango smoothie.
Yeah, I mean, I would never call this a New England anyway.
No.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's a sessionable, good pale ale. It moves itself pretty well as well. We've been running the Bergs Folköl series for about 2 years. We started it as a takeaway thing at the brew pub. So we would do, we had a small hand labeler in the bar and some cans and a small hand steamer. And then if people wanted to do takeaway beer, we would say, yeah, you can get some Folköl for takeaway. We would just pour it, just purge a can real quick and then just pour it straight from the tap. And we had a date stamp on it. So we would just stamp the cans and it would say best before today. But we moved away from that because that's a nightmare quality wise. Like people might actually keep that can for God knows how long. So we've stopped with that method. Obviously, but it was fun though.
That's a good idea, actually, though. Whatever you can do, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, I like the beer. It's quite quenchable and perfect during the summers when you don't want to get drunk.
Or in the winter on the ski hill.
On the ski hill as well, yeah.
This too.
I used to compete in downhill skiing, so I want to be in control because I go quite fast. I competed in downhill, Super G, and also speed skiing. And if you don't have control when you do that, you're dead.
Correctamundo. That's why you drink Folköl and not Starköl.
So no Imperial Stouts for breakfast, huh?
Not for speed skiing. No, that sounds more like I don't know, a city breakfast rather than a mountain breakfast.
Yeah, my speed record is 176.6.
Jesus Christ!
We used to
That's
train
fast.
by being strapped onto car roofs, on the roof racks, just to get used to the speed.
That's insane, man.
Can't do that shit face. Next one, I think, in the hazy afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Now we're moving into Hazeland.
in the hazy land.
Now we're going into CC's favorite style. I need to grab another glass.
Did you get another glass?
Yes, and I prepared a fourth one for the next beer as well.
Perfect. You're a professional now.
I learned from the best. All right, next beer, Hazy Afternoon. This is a pretty new one for us. We released it on the 6th of April. So this one is part of something we call our Lupulin project, which is where we try out new hops and or yeast make one-off IPAs really. Anything between hazy session 4.5 to a double IPAs, triple IPAs, etc., etc. So yeah, one-off series of IPAs really. This one is 4.5%er. We've focused on Citra and Sabro in this one. So Sabro for us a new hop. It's been on the market for a while, years or a few. So yeah, basically trying to make a as citrusy and fruity but still crushable and easygoing New England session.
What I really like is that you still keep the dryness to the afternotes, so you can actually go back to it. Because when I talk about having a beef with New England styles or juicy IPAs, it's mainly the ones that don't have that hoppy backbone with a bit of bitterness. It's more about fruit. And that it puts me off a bit.
I can see why. I mean, I can also see why people like it. So it's you can't satisfy every palate, right?
Yeah, but the thing
That's
is,
impossible.
It's really good that we don't have the same palate.
Absolutely, because I mean that would be, I don't know.
We'd end up drinking the same thing we did in '95. 9 breweries doing the same beer.
Yeah, it would be like North Korean craft beer, I guess.
And before he met me,
You haven't seen the North Korean craft beer scene, have you?
Of course I haven't, but I imagine it's quite generic and also somewhat centralized and controlled by the government, right?
Probably.
Probably, I guess.
it's like before he met me, he didn't drink Belgian beer at all.
Well, I did, but
Nah, you really didn't.
not much.
Nah.
Well, I did the occasional Cantillon or Driefonteinen, but
Can't go wrong.
Belgian ales were... I had a bit of a problem with some of the yeast strains.
Mm-hmm.
When they get too much like marzipan-y.
Right.
Yeah. Which I love.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I'm also a big Belgian fan, especially the lambic and like any lambic really, but especially Drie. I really like Driefonteinen a lot.
I have a Mariage Parfait in the fridge at home.
Mariage Parfait.
Sweet.
Mariage Parfait from
Some
2009. 09, so that's nice.
Tell us a bit about... well, you weren't there when they started, which was when?
2017, like late 2017. So winter season 17-18.
How did you end up there?
I lived in Åre when I was 10 years ago-ish, 11 years ago. Then we went to Oslo to do a summer gig. We were gonna be there for 5 months, and that ended up becoming 8 years. And after those 8 years, both me and my better half, Maria, we were kind of sick and tired of Oslo and wanted to move back to Sweden. But the only place we wanted to move back to was really Åre, where none of us are from here. We're from the northern parts of Sweden, like true north. So yeah, we moved back here. Quit our jobs in Oslo, moved here, figured everything will work itself out. I started studying the brewery technician one in Nynäshamn. And then I met Kalle at Parkvillan, started working there a little bit extra in the bar. And then he said that Svartberget is looking for a brewer. I said, well, I'm a brewer.
Yay!
I went to Philip to look for an internship and just to see what it was all about. And then it was like, yeah, so can you work tomorrow? I was like, yeah, sure. And then we kicked it off and we liked each other, and I guess he felt I was qualified enough. And then I just started working at Svartberget and started developing this new brewery where we're making.
And now you're the head brewer.
Yeah, I mean, I was the first employee technically, so
Yeah.
I guess in a way I was always the head brewer. But we were running 4 people during last year, more of the in charge position, I guess. But yeah, like all of the like quality control, SOPs, recipes, and production planning is on me, and yeah, that's how I ended up there.
You found your spot.
Yeah, that's one way to put it for sure.
I'm curious about this next one, though. This is an Imperial Strawberry Sour.
Yeah.
Skutan forever.
Yep. So one of our core range beers are called Strawberry Hills Forever, which we
instead of Strawberry Fields.
Yeah, it's a play of that name, exactly. And I mean, that's like a balanced Berliner Weiss at a 4.5%. It's not jam packed with fruit. It's got some strawberry notes. It's never supposed to be like a full blown smoothie beer either. So the intention with that beer was to have it as a balanced Berliner with like you can still have some of the maltiness and the graininess and bacteria to play a full role, and then have some strawberry notes. This one though, because there were a lot of people who were expecting this like full fucking strawberry punch from that beer, and we've been talking internally at the brewery like, yeah, we should do an imperial version of this. And then a situation appeared where we had half a ton of strawberry puree that we had to do something with, so we chucked it in a 7% sour.
Only way to do it.
Yeah, so we went from hills to Skutan with what a Skutan is, the mountain here. So yeah, we have 528 kilograms of strawberry berry puree, which equals to about a ton of raw fruit. And we got 1,600 liters of a finished product on the amount of fruit and beer put together. So
you could say
quite
it's
a lot
about
of fruit.
60% fruit in this beer.
More or less.
It's a smoothie, man. But that is actually delicious. It's very nice acidity to it as well.
Yep.
And the
Strawberries are very acidic actually when you get the sugar out of them.
It's a fruit acidity, more to it than grated.
So it's kettle soured it like all of our other sour beers, or not all of them, but the one we released. And we don't really stretch it that far. We go down to 3.2, 3.3 in pH. I know some people go as far down as 3. Personally, I think that's too sour, too acidic. But it depends on what you're doing afterwards as well. I mean, if you're adding a bunch of sour fruits, like passion fruit, super sour. Raspberries are also quite sour. Then you're making it even more sour. Strawberries are like in the same acidity level as the base beer, so it keeps it balanced, I think.
I think it's really nice.
Sour, really. Huh?
It's really nice and not yogurty.
Not what?
Yogurty. You know the.
Oh yeah.
Like yogurt.
You know when you get the aftertaste of like berry yogurt.
Yeah.
This is not there at all. It's just very clean in the aftertaste.
Thank you very much. It's time for me to dig in as well.
Oh yeah. We are way ahead of you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Somebody's dog is screaming outside.
It's pretty jammy. It's like strawberry jam, but with the 7% kick.
And as Rasmus said, quite a lot of tartness to it as well. Really fresh.
Very super fresh. I like it a lot, and I'm a sour beer freak, so I love sour beers.
I like the well-produced ones.
Yeah, obviously. That's why I love that.
I think that applies across the board, actually, when it comes to beer.
But I've got a question for you.
Yep.
Swedish beers and breweries now, the quality, if you compare it to about when you started drinking Swedish beers, where do you think we are now?
Well, I mean, I like to believe that the quality of Swedish craft beer doesn't really have a ceiling, so we're only going to keep getting better. There's a lot of terrific Swedish beers out there, and compared to, I mean, I started drinking beer when I was 17, so 14 years ago maybe. I did not have a local market that had a shit ton of craft beer when I was 17, as you can imagine.
And you didn't drink it because it was more expensive.
Well, no, I mean, I like to get a hold of a lot of English and Belgian stuff already back then. I got my friends to go buy me like blue and red Chimay and some Westmalle beers, etc., etc. A lot of the Fuller's ales as well that was available in Boden, where I'm from, in the small city up north. But quality-wise, I think it's been a huge improvement. And like when you meet other brewers as small as us, or like, let's say as big as Popples. You really get to see like the full range, but most people that I meet are very, 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 very aware of their quality control program, even if it comes to measuring equipment or having good sampling or a QC team that does sensory analysis, etc., etc. We've focused quite a lot on our quality development, partially with in-house measurements, oxygen pickups, microbial growth, etc. We send off all of our beers to a third-party lab. What up, Nan at Beer Labs? So we have a full control of our entire range, going from grain handling into canning, making sure we have good traceability. We make sure we have all of our microbial growth at a minimal or none, preferably, which is honestly quite impossible. And make sure we have low DO levels or all across the board. That's our main focus, like making sure our beer comes out almost as fresh to our customers as when we drink it from the tank, or sample it from the tank, I guess is the right word.
Yeah, not drink it, you just sample it.
Exactly.
Brewer's
It's for
breakfast.
science. It's for science.
What was that?
But I must say, oxygen levels is something that lots of Swedish breweries have improved at. Because I've noticed that shelf life on Swedish micros has actually grown quite a lot the last 10 years.
That sounds very much like I said, I've been in Norway for about 8 years. And it's been 2.5 since I moved back to Sweden. But I've always been going across the border, of course, to get Swedish craft beer and try to buy and order as much as I can to the closest Systembolaget, so I can pick up and still have a decent feeling of what's going on in Sweden compared to Norway. But yeah, I mean, 7, 8, 9 years ago, it was a bit of a gamble, I guess, if you didn't buy anything from the bigger craft breweries, because a lot of them could be very oxidized. Today, and I think a lot of this has to do with, well, partially the more ease of access to knowledge, and also it's becoming a bigger industry, and there's a lot of collaborations and sharing knowledge in the industry. It's a very open industry. So I've just asked a lot of people that I know for pointers where I'm unsure, like, how do you guys do this? Oh, we do it like that. Oh, okay. Why is that? It's because of blah, blah, blah. Oh, great. Thank you very much. So you don't have to invent the wheel again because someone else is already doing it.
But also the customer is much more knowledgeable.
This is true.
So they're more picky.
Yeah. And
If
that's
the beer is
great
not
because
good,
that's
they're not
putting
buying
pressure on
it.
us.
Yeah, but if the beer is not good, they're not buying it.
Correct. And I think that's great because that's putting more pressure on the producer to always produce stellar beer. And if you have something that is not 100% up to your quality measurements and you don't dump it, well, you're gonna have a problem because people are gonna stop buying your beer. That's just the bottom line. You gotta be willing to sacrifice a batch or two for the greater good, because one batch is gonna hurt you more than it's gonna actually save you money if it's not good enough.
Yeah. That is true. And speaking of collabs, the last one here is a collab, right?
Correct, Mundo, Svartbergets. So this is an imperial stout that we and Remparlöv brewed in. I think we brewed it in late October last year, actually. Yeah, just before Great Swedish Beer Festival. Same week.
Did they brew it up at your place or did you brew it down there?
No, we brewed it at Remparlöv.
Isn't it beautiful down there? I was there 2 years ago. It's absolutely fantastic.
It's amazing. It's freaking amazing.
And their barn out there with the bar outside and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's dreamscapes, really. It's such a beautiful spot, and in the middle of, like, on the countryside of Skåne in Eslöv. It's a beautiful place. I love it. And the people.
And they're really nice guys.
Greatest guys. Greatest people in the industry. So humble, so nice, and so welcoming, and yeah.
And now they
really
got Glenn as well.
Huh?
And now they got Glenn with them as well, which is
exactly.
who
Beer
started.
developer of the year.
Well, he just got
But with great
awarded.
Swedish.
Yeah. But he was part of Gothenburg Beer Festival, Malmö Beer Festival. He was part of that company, and then he moved over to Remelöv.
Right.
And,
Yeah, I believe he's doing a good job at Remelöv as well. He's a nice guy. Cheers to Glenn.
cheers.
Cheers.
And cheers to Håkan and Hampus and Frida and
Yeah.
everyone else at Remelöv. So yeah, a 10% Imperial Stout. This one was a heck of a brew day. It's a double mash, of course, to make it strong and thick.
He likes it.
Long ass boil. I think we boiled it for 4 hours, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Oof.
And then it's been fermented with an American ale strain, and post fermentation we've added vanilla. Not to make it like a vanilla bomb. I believe Hampus, the head brewer at Remelöv, and me are very in the same philosophy there, that balance is key.
The vanilla is very mellow. It's
like it contributes to the flavor profile, but it doesn't scream vanilla. It just adds nicely to the roasted and chocolatey notes from the specialty malt, which is, I mean, I don't mind a pastry stout. I just don't want to make it myself. That's not my jam. I think it's a very fun and exciting market, because it's developing the beer scene into like, what can beer be, what can beer become. Personally, I don't like to drink it, but I think it's very interesting what people are doing with the pastry stuff, and it's nice to follow it and just see what's happening. But
I must say, when it comes to pastry stouts in Sweden, it's a bit hit and miss. Because some of them they try to take it almost too far. They go like, it's so much vanilla and almost always something else as well. When I was in Tampa Bay a year and a half, 2 years ago, it's just weird that they're famous for their pastry stouts, because it's 42 degrees Celsius outside.
Yeah.
And you can't drink that kind of beer in that heat.
Yeah, it should be all 3.5% Pilsner.
Yeah, and it's like, and they're all like 13-14%. You sit and drink one and you go, let's go home now.
You might catch diabetes actually from a lot of those. I've seen a lot of posts on online forums for brewers where the residual extract in a lot of their pastry stouts are higher than the original extract we have in our imperial stouts. It's like 35 Plato residual, which is, well, for those who doesn't understand Plato, that's like 35% sugar in solution, which is completely ridiculous.
It's like sugar water.
There's sometimes oftentimes a pastry stout is like a hit and miss because of that, but also with we tried the nutty swirl from Dugges with the coconuts and the vanilla, right?
But they're pushing the pastry game for sure.
Yeah, and it was delicious. But
yeah,
it was
they make fantastic beers.
Well, Nutty Swirl was odd.
It's very odd, but it was very well balanced, very well produced. So
Well, I've got a problem with marzipan. And it's like almonds.
You should take that up with marzipan. That's not our battle. No, but yeah, so pretty much a Russian Imperial stout at 10% with some vanilla to balance out the roastiness and burnt notes, chocolatey notes from the malt.
But there's also
turned out fantastic, actually.
Yeah, there's also a burnt coffee taste right in the beginning, which sets the beer off, which I love. The roasted coffee in Imperial stouts over all porters, it's the best thing. That's why I love Baltic porter so much. Because the roasted coffee comes out even more when you cold ferment them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk some about our plans to go to Åre.
Yeah. We're planning to go to Åre.
Because I've spoken to Anders at Åre Brygg Company.
Yep.
And we're gonna do a Beer Bubbles beer up there. You want to join us for a collab?
Yeah, if Anders allows me, and we've been talking on our end, we've been talking about a collab for I mean, it should have happened years ago, really.
With beer bubbles. Hey,
You know
it's
what?
made to be.
Anders owes me. Because I was in the car driving up there, and I got to Hudiksvall, and then he calls me and says, "Oh fuck, it's the Hunters Fair, so we haven't got time for you." So I had to turn the car around and drive back, and he still feels bad about it. So
Well,
whatever
I
I
mean,
say, it goes.
You can't skip the Hunters Fair in order. That's that's a huge show and actually flips a lot of beer. So,
But he
I
still feels
understand
bad
his
about it.
decision fully. But I mean, you know, no. But we've been talking about a collab as well, me and Anders. So if he allows us in on a small corner, we'd be delighted to join in for sure.
Yeah, it's we're planning to do at least a weekend or a few days. We're gonna record everything in the restaurants as well, combine them with food. You know, make a couple of days like trip of it, and then also come back when everything's done and do try the beer.
But you just had Åre Gastro Week.
Yeah, Gastronomy Week has been finished today, and Åre Bryggkompani and us, Svartberget, has been part of the actions going down at the main square in Åre.
So what's happened?
So like on a normal year, they're building like a pop-up restaurant where they have usually like a tasting menu with some local, some not local produce. I can't speak for Åre Gastronomy Week because I don't represent them or know their like the event is all about food and local produce as far as I've understood. But this year we got the chance to be in on it. So together with some other producers, we lined up at the main square with some food and some beers from us and Åre Bryggkompani for people to enjoy between noon and 3 in the afternoon on Friday and Saturday. So that was nice. Last year I think it was sponsored by Spendrups, or if it was the year before that. And,
they did a Mellerud Åre Bryggkompani collab. That was last year.
Yeah.
The gondola beer.
Yeah.
which I won't say nothing about, except it was funny.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, guys.
This stout is amazing.
Yeah, I wish I could take more credit for it, but it's mostly Hampus at Remarlöv who's done his voodoo magic on it. But yeah, it's a good beer for sure.
Humble guy.
You just have to tell you guys, it's now 12:30.
Yeah.
So it's just past noon. So this is basically our breakfast.
Yep. It is.
Well, I mean, as long as it's 12 o'clock, that's the rule, right?
And we
Well, it's
started
12 o'clock somewhere all the time.
Yeah. But if you go up to Åre, we have to come visit Svartbergets, of course.
For sure.
Yeah. And the collab thing will be really cool. With the beer
At least you got to swing by the brewery and have a look in a beer. If you're coming in the summertime, you can get the ski lift up to a brew pub as well, which will be open this summer as well.
We're definitely coming.
Yeah, the view from there is amazing. Sit on our outside patio, eat some nice burgers, have a few beers.
I have to go get myself that hat as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. I won't send it to you because then you have to come here.
Perfect. I had the Vega one today.
That's cool.
So we're just gonna book in the dates and talk with Åre as well, and get it rolling. Sounds like
perfect.
Super fun.
That's fun.
But you're doing a big branding of the Black Mountain Svartbergets, right?
Well, yeah, absolutely.
But I'm thinking about the artwork on the cans.
Mm-hmm.
Do you use an artist, or do you do them yourself, or?
I mean, I don't have any part of the creative work personally, but it's been a development for sure, because when it started out, like when we released our first cans, I think it was Philip, aka our founder and CEO, his wife and her sister did the artwork, and then a good friend of mine, Tim at Luffens in social media, made some of our designs for like Happy Valley, Strawberry Hills, King of the Hills, etc. And now we've moved to another designer called Backman, which does our entire design range. But we still work a little bit now and then with Tim, who's an artist, produces a lot of nice art. But like the design and all the design application is done by Carl Backman. Works with a lot of other like the drink producers, Stockholm's Bränneri and others. Is a talented guy for sure.
It's fun to see the beer and art is coming together lately in a big way. I mean, Steve Beddets did a complete turnaround of their labels with the
they have
all the
great
artworks.
labels.
Yeah, and Amundsen doing a big art on theirs as well.
They're just messy.
Yeah, but it's still art. I mean, it's like graffiti, like so.
Yeah,
It's becoming a big part of craft beer.
I think Amundsen cans are epic, and they really pop out on the shelf. Like you can tell.
No.
You can tell it's an Amundsen beer from 10 meters away.
The Apocalyptic Thunder use. I mean, the label on that is amazing. The orange.
It's great. Yeah, I really like their ink and dagger as well. That's a really cool label art. I used to work for a company called Nydalen Bryggeri in Oslo, which is owned by the same company owns Amundsen, and they used to have their first small production brewery in the same restaurant. So it was a brew pub, and they were bottling at that time before they moved to their current location. Which is also that brew pub is where I started my brewing career as well. So, yeah.
But I have to ask the one small serious question during all these. COVID is ongoing, of course, and how did that affect you when it started, and how has it developed?
I mean, we were in the expansion phase when COVID hit. Like we started brewing in this very brewery I'm sitting at in the 1st of January, 2nd of January or something like that last year. So 2020 was the starting year of this brewery. We're building and installing equipment for half of 2019, and then started getting shit rolling in January 2020. So I mean, couldn't have been at our worst timing, really. Yeah. Luckily, we had one big tender that we won for the Fast Sortiment at Systembolaget, and also had a temporary tender we won with our core range IPA Happy Valley. So that really saved us a lot, or actually, I mean, the goal for last year was like, okay, can we hit 50,000 liters? That was like the main goal from the owners. We sold for about 100,000, so crushed the goal pretty hard. And we had nice. I mean, it's been stressful because it's been a complete building site at the brewery since, because we've been adding more tanks, moving the canning line. We built the bar, then we tore down the bar down because we need more space for the canning line so we can fit more tanks in the brewery, etc. So it's been a lot of moving around and installing new equipment. So COVID was shit as far as like the restaurant business go, but on the other hand, we're so young and new, or we're still very young and new as a brewery. So we didn't really have a lot of bar and restaurants that we were depending on, or we didn't have like previous sales that we could expect. We didn't have any salespersons that etc. So we were kind of lucky in that way, but we were getting started pretty nicely on the bar and restaurant scene. And then of course,
it died.
Yeah, and then it went from looking pretty good to looking like nothing. So I guess
you get
good and bad, but we made it through pretty well, actually.
Yeah.
But the Folköl series, is that kind of a result of COVID?
No, I mean, we've been making Folköl since way before I knew what COVID was. And we've always had as a goal to make more Folköl, because I mean, we're all skiers and snowboarders, and we like to drink beer, but we also like to go skiing afterwards without, doing stupid
Falling
shit
over.
because we're drunk. So that goes hand in hand, and we do a lot of hiking in the summer too. So it's always nice to have a few cans of Folköl. We do So yeah, we've been brewing Folka basically since the first day I started, and I think even before that as well. So not due to
that's why I
COVID,
suck
but
at
we've
skiing.
probably accelerated it a little bit due to COVID though.
But it's cans also a part of that, because I know Oscar Blues, when they started with cans like 24 years or something ago, it was because of all the Trekkies up in the Colorado Mountains. The skiers, the Trekkies, the hikers. It's easier to carry a can because it's lighter, and when you're done, you just squeeze it together, put it in your backpack, bring it back.
Yeah, you don't get any shattered glass in your backpack or full of beer either, which is a plus. I mean, you want that beer in your belly, not in your backpack.
And like an empty bottle of beer, it's easier for someone to just chuck it in the woods. But
Yeah,
if you
that's
can just
completely
if you can just
irresponsible and
crush,
stupid behavior though.
yeah. But if you got a can, you can just crush it together. It fits in your big backpack, doesn't weigh anything, doesn't take up any room.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to use cans over bottles. I like bottles too for specific styles, but I think that's a no-brainer discussion. I mean, it's a preference for sure,
but you do mostly cans, right?
we do all cans.
You do all cans, yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a bottling line at all. We do everything we do comes in cans. We do, however, have some pretty funky stuff that we're we're waiting on really. We've been starting a small not spontaneous, but mixed fermentation barrel program. So we got a few beers laying on some old French wine barrels up at the mountain, and they've been resting there for 2 years ish.
So we'll have a tasting when we visit Oring. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll see. Last time I tried them, they showed some true potential, but none of them were done yet, in my opinion. So,
but when they're
we'll
done,
see. I mean, we might end up just dumping all of it as well. That's definitely a possibility. But they sure showed some potential last time. So, like, those are definitely going to go in bottles. We're not putting bacteria or wild yeast into our canning line, of course.
big ones.
Yeah, 750s for sure. It's the way to go.
Could I put the final question to him then?
You can put the final question to him. Do you think he's prepared?
I don't think I'm prepared.
No, you're not.
When I did the podcast, Ölpodden, I always asked about like your desert island beer. But we kind of developed that into our final question, which is more or less, or actually exactly, you're gonna die. You got one beer left. You're on your deathbed. What are you having?
Oof.
Whatever you want.
Well, I mean, it's between two beers really that I come to think of at the top of my head. I really enjoy the Firestone Walker Sukaba barley wine, and one of my favorite and always in the house beers is Driefontein and Armand Gaston. So it's probably one of those two. Well, I mean, if the last beer on earth or in my life, it's got to be a barley wine for sure. So I'll go with the Sukaba, preferably like a 2-3-year-old vintage as well, not a super fresh one. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Seb.
That's a perfect answer. There's only two people that's answered that question super quickly, and that's Ollie and Janko. They were like,
Ollie at Stigberget.
I assume that Ollie from Stigberget had something to do with Timothy Taylor and Casale. Yeah.
And Janko was dead quick saying Orval.
yeah.
That's a great pick too.
It's
Fucking legend of a beer.
Legend of a beer for legend of a guy.
This is true.
Sebastian, thank you so much for joining Beer Bubbles, both podcast and YouTube channel.
Thank you very much for
It was
having
a
me.
pleasure having you. Yeah, you're welcome. It's a pleasure having you. And we look forward to going up to Åre and visit you and the Åre Big Company.
And
Sure.
don't forget to subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, like the video, comment on the video, and if you're listening to the podcast, because we're recording both simultaneously, don't forget to check out the YouTube clip.
No.
And don't forget to buy Svartbergets beer.
True
Exactly. And do you sell merch?
Yeah, we're developing a web shop as we speak. It's gonna get launched pretty soon. So we'll get some t-shirt, glasses, caps, beanies, etc. up
Nice.
on the interwebs very shortly.
Yeah, and I have to go up to Åre to get my hat, so don't forget, we follow Svartbergets on Instagram and Facebook. We'll put the links out everywhere you can find it. And whatever you do, guys, drink better beer.